Good afternoon and evening. Welcome to the third instalment of Exploring Careers in Product Management with 4th Rev and King's College London. My name is Daniel Cairns. I'm the Head of Enrolments for 4th Rev and always keen to host an engaging forum following introductions and an overview of the event. So please always feel free to list your questions in the box below. I'm the Head of Enrolments, as I mentioned. We look after a global team of enrolment professionals and advisors that advise people on their career choices. They're based in Australia, the UK, South Africa and Portugal, and we drive a really strong commitment to customer service. So hopefully, as you've already experienced in your discussions with them. 4th Rev, we empower learners for high growth digital careers, bridging the gap between academia and industry for that rapid career impact. Tonight, we're going to welcome our guests very, very shortly, but in this final webinar in the series, we're excited to be running these events to help you explore not only your career options, but also I'll be chatting with Dr. James Smithies, Professor James Smithies, actually, sorry James, about his experience in product management, developing the Career Accelerator both with 4th Rev and industry, and looking forward to hearing all about that. We'll have a holistic view of the product manager's skill set and what that looks like practically, and how this program, the Career Accelerator, and the content has been designed to help learners achieve success. So without further ado, I'd love to have Professor James Smithies, or James as he'll be called from now on, give an overview and introduce yourself. James, welcome. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. It's good to be here, and this is a really exciting part of the design process for this course. You know, by way of background, so I'm Professor of Digital Humanities at King's College London. I'm a New Zealander. Originally, I've been at King's for 8 years. I've had an interesting career trajectory myself, and I'm an academic now, but I've spent 5 years working in outside IT in the commercial and government sector in New Zealand and the UK. So I've got quite an interesting perspective on product management. I've seen it evolve over several years, and now working with 4th Rev and industry experts on this course, I'm getting a first look, or I've had a first look at what the future, I think, of product management training looks like. And yeah, just happy to be here and have a chat with Daniel and answer any of your questions.
That's what it's all about. Thank you kindly, James. This is brilliant. What we might do as an introductory process also for everyone, if possible, in the chat function, it's great to have the engagement and understand where everyone is. So if you'd like to just put in the chat function where you are based, we'd love to reach out to you as well, and obviously ask any questions that you have along the way. We've got a Q&A session. So on the agenda today, we have the introductions that we've just done and a poll that we're about to run. I'll have a quick overview and interview with James regarding not only the program, but the industry and his experience, how he's seen that change, as he's mentioned, and the excitement that we have around the program before we get to your question and answers, and a little wrap up regarding the program, the commencement, the criteria, application process, and the like as well. It should be good. We'll try and obviously keep it to time, but we're keen to get to your questions as quick as we can as well. That's the order of proceedings. James, just by way of introduction as well, I'd love it if you could answer one interesting question, I guess, for me, before we just go on to the next point. If you go back in any time in history, where would it be and why?
That's a great question. And this is a bit of a taster of the course, really, because I talk more about this in the course. But I reckon the early 1980s, just in the shift from mainframes to PCs, there's a fascinating moment there that led to Microsoft. IBM dropped the ball, and Bill Gates made his money through a really bad business decision by IBM, and it's related to product management. And I think, you know, that era, there were really exciting opportunities in digital product management. that could have set me on a really interesting career trajectory for the next 20 years. So yeah, that's what I'd say. And I'd say California in the early 1980s.
That would have been an exciting time in more ways than one, I feel. That's really, really interesting, actually. And it's amazing how, whilst it's not all that long ago, although it is in some way, shape or form, how far it's come. I mean, product management in the physical sense has been around for forever, but in the digital sense, to be right there at the beginning would have been quite amazing as well. We are going to run a poll, and just a reminder for anyone to use the Q&A feature that would love to receive your questions along the way. And a reminder, we are obviously recording the event as you discovered on the entrance to the webinar. We'd love, given your interest in the program, we're going to run a poll, and we'd love to know what are your motivations for considering studying product management. And I guess we see, James, a really inspiring broad section of learners enrolling into the program. There are some, although not so many at all, really, career starters. There are many career advances, and there's a lot of career changes. And I guess what we find also are those career changes that have some degree of experience or exposure and some that don't, which is going to be interesting. But I think everyone's after that, I guess what it is called, that acceleration to their career. Given the answers that the guests have in front of us, to get an in-demand job, to future-proof your job in the economy, to cement my skills or start my career and determine if PM is the right move, do you have a sense as what might be most popular, do you feel?
I would say now it might be, to sort of cement a future career that's already underway, or create a new direction in an existing career. But I suspect that in 5 years' time, there'll be a lot more new starters who are new to the job market and want to spend their whole career as product managers. But a lot of us, we're in that sort of phase in the history of technology and product management where a lot of us are underway already and need to course correct. But that'll change over time as product management evolves as a career.
That's very interesting. It will be interesting to see that, and please feel free to submit your answers in the poll. We've got the preliminary results up already, and the leaders are to cement my skills and advance my career, and to start my career in a high growth opportunity. I think the top one also, to get an in-demand job, is going to be popular. I know industry is certainly looking to the graduates of this program, knowing the skills that they will graduate with will be aligned with what they need, and that's the most important thing. So we'll check in on the poll shortly. Please feel free, if you're just joining, to submit your answer there as well. I guess, James, to start off, how have you seen product management evolve? I'm not saying since the 80s. I'm saying more so over the last 10 years. How much have you seen it change?
Well, I've seen it change from an engineering focus, and in a way, product management has emerged, hasn't it, from the complexities of the software engineering environment and the need for software engineers and software engineering teams to work effectively with especially business stakeholders, but also NGO and government stakeholders. So yeah, I mean, I think 10 years ago, we weren't really thinking about product and product management. We were thinking about engineering and project management. It was a very instrumentalist way of making sure that the engineering team built to requirements, but there wasn't a lot of strategic business thinking or organizational thinking. It was probably too driven by technical requirements, which of course are key. But it's interesting as a historian of ideas to see the way that the notion of product, of a digital product, has emerged out of the engineering process. Well, in a way, it's emerged out of that tension, hasn't it, between the business and engineering teams.
It has, and I'll elaborate on that. That's spot on exactly what you've said. And I think given the cross-functional teams that need to be managed to bring a product to life, always with that customer lens, it's bridging that gap, isn't it? And overseeing that process from end to end. That's what I think's most appealing to many of those that are not so technically minded, but obviously have the people element skills. And as you so well pointed out, the business application of the skills rounding it out. In terms of training for product management, you made an interesting comment to me the other day when we had a chat, but how have you seen that, or how have you seen that progress or change as well in terms of either formal or informal? I speak to many that say they fell into product management and didn't really have an option to study it. How have you seen training evolve in this space?
I mean, training, this seems to be that this course is one of the first generation of courses in formal product management, isn't it? I mean, before that, the training seemed to be tacit, and it was word of mouth within teams and response to problem solving. There wasn't a lot of critical awareness about the notion of a product and how managing that product from conception through to launch and eventually potentially archiving could be managed. So yeah, I think training was amateurish. I think it was emergent within each particular organisational context, so it wasn't standardised. And this course, looking at the finished product, the thing that's really struck me is the way that the curriculum makes sense, but I haven't seen it in that form before. All of the different skill sets are there, and when you've sort of been fumbling in the dark trying to work out what product management means within an organisation, it's not, you're not quite sure exactly what's needed. But looking at this course in the round, it's like, oh, of course, like that's what product management is. That's the skill sets that's needed, and that's the level of sort of formal training that's required to produce high quality product managers. I don't think we could have produced this course even 5 years ago. I don't think the level of awareness was there about what product management is to design a course like this.
That's fantastic, and it makes me wonder, with a forward-thinking lens, what the industry and demand will be. We know what it is now, but what it's going to be looking ahead, because even what you just said shows that it's still quite in its infancy as an option for many people, which I think is amazing. Interpersonal skills are paramount. We touched on that cross-functional team management and so forth, but what do you feel are the key interpersonal skills for a career in product management?
No, I'm thinking back to my time when I was effectively working as a product manager. I think diplomacy, energy to unite people within a team and unite disparate stakeholders with different views of where the product should go and what the product is. And that requires empathy and strategic vision. So I'd say, problem solving, diplomacy, energy, empathy, and vision. And those people with those skills, with those interpersonal skills, of course, are rare in any business context. And they're rarer still if you add the technical component. Is one of the things is really needed, and one of the reasons that product management, I think, has evolved is because technical teams and business teams live in their own world, and communication and cross-functional collaboration becomes really difficult. So we're trying to produce people who can go into those complex environments and have the kind of interpersonal skills to lead really heterogeneous groups of people towards success.
That is fantastic. You've touched on some things. I even wrote them down. That diplomacy, energy is a really, really good one. Empathy is so critical. Not only, I believe, with the team management aspect of a successful product manager, but the end user, the customer empathy, is critical, and that's a really key point. And having that vision that you've mentioned, that's That's a fantastic answer, and that energy one really resonates with me. It's underrated in a business sense and a team leadership sense. Those interpersonal skills, that energy level is really, really important. So what kind of person then, I guess, is that? As you said, it's really rare. We're embedding a lot of that within the program to teach, but who do you envisage, I guess, being suited for a career and product manager? And it's a broad question because of
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a particular kind of person, and it's why product management has taken a long time to evolve, and why getting courses like this tailored correctly is a difficult ask, because it depends what context they're working in. You know, if it's a large organization, you might need someone who's less technical and has more of those sort of business and interpersonal skills. But if you're working for a small startup, like I used to, in fintech with 10 engineers, you're going to need someone who's quite technical. And I think that's why it's going to be interesting to see how product management evolves in terms of training, but also craft. I mean, it's very much, I think, a craft as much as a either technical or business-oriented role. So, you know, we need those talented people with energy who are able to go into highly complex, and I'd use the word convergent contexts, where you get a convergence between technical complexity, business complexity, operational complexity. And it's the sort of thing where I think the right people with the right attitude and the right sort of basic foundational grounding in product management should be able to parachute them into pretty well any organization, and they would succeed.
That's great. And from our perspective, speaking directly with candidates for the course and interested learners, the diverse nature of people's backgrounds has been nothing short of inspiring, from software engineers who have been exposed to that process over a period of time and realise now that it's actually a role in itself that they would be well suited to. We've got heads of marketing that are also in that similar vein. Then we've got the true career changers, those that are realising the demand for product managers and see an alignment of their skill set in a completely different field. And I'm thinking teaching. I know there's some teachers that are enrolled, and I think that's brilliant because they've got that skill set of overseeing from a helicopter view a classroom, a university lecture hall, or whatever it may be that they're teaching. And to bring that umbrella or that helicopter vision to the PM role, I think is a transferable skill. So we're excited to see some true career changes as well. The program's content is co-designed with King's, obviously, but also a host of industry experts. How is the Career Accelerator structured to enable learners to grasp the fundamentals, learning the interpersonal skills they need to actually land the job? So not only the fundamentals, but taking those that have an experience level and understanding and helping them accelerate as well.
Yeah, I mean, this course is really interesting in terms of the future of education and higher education. I've referenced those, you know, the convergent context that we're having to work in. This is a convergent course. I think it's the future of education. You know, the online mode obviously helps. I've been really impressed by the collaboration between 4th Rev, industry and academia. That getting the balance right is really difficult because we can't have people coming into this course and being too overwhelmed with heavy academic content. That's not the purpose. But equally, it needs to be intellectually robust, because one of the attributes I've mentioned with product managers is they need to be intellectually robust. I mean, that's the way that you can deal with organisational complexity and motivate teams. So getting that balance right, I think that's key to the program. But it's also got the practical components as well, with an emphasis on learning through doing, actually developing some of those product management artifacts so that you can test it and discuss it with your peers as you go. And I'm really impressed with the career advice that's offered, because instead of just the students just being parachuted in and having to learn on their own, there's engagement with their peers, and there's also that one-on-one career advice that I think will help them course correct. Because the point is that there's, as we've been saying, product management isn't a one-size-fits-all career. It's not like becoming a lawyer and you've still got different paths to go on. I think it's really important for product managers to get that toolkit and understand the career, and then really tailor their steps to their specific strengths. And that's where the career advisors will come in.
It is going to be inspiring to see those outcomes, not only that are benefiting the learners from that content perspective and the academic perspective, but that, as you said, the coaching aspect of the program is going to be a game changer for many. You know, I asked many prospective learners, have they had a coach, like any form of career coaching before, and it's quite rare. And the career coaches are so passionate about providing that guidance, advice and support. It's truly going to be of benefit to all. I guess then, what can learners look forward to when studying to be a product manager? And we'll get to the Q&A very, very shortly. I've got 2 more questions.
I mean, I think they can look forward to being at the forefront of multiple industry trends. I mean, product management, it's in demand because it's sort of at the headwaters of multiple industry trends that we're going to see come to fruition over the next 5 and 10 years. So there's a real freshness to the content, I think. I mean, the core learning outcomes are common across a lot of different practices within engineering and design and project management, etc. But put together, it's highly innovative, and I think it's really on the cusp of the future workforce, what the future workforce requires.
Industry, that's fantastic. And industry require and love that practical application of learning that you mentioned in the question before the last. What kind of hands-on practice and experience can learners expect from the Career Accelerator program that complements exactly what industry is seeking in that regard?
And I think it's as I said, the active learning. So you know, creating those vision statements and the product management artifacts, documentation artifacts. But I think also having that discussion with peers through online discussion, I mean, that's a key part of the course. And that's going to be unique. I mean, product managers tend to evolve in isolation within organizations, and they don't have a peer group. They don't have a professional peer group to talk to. So having those ongoing discussions will be a really practical way to not just work out what product management is and sort of set your aspirations, but also tailor the future sort of direction of your career, and work out how you differ to, for example, a technically oriented product manager to a marketing oriented product manager. And I expect that will be quite handy, well, very handy in job interviews in particular, because what we want to foster is not just an awareness of product management and the craft, but a really strong critical awareness about who you feel you are as a product manager and where you will fit within an organization.
I love that. And to frame that a little further in an interview context, I often compare it to an examination style assessment program, of which this is not, as we are aware, but also the value of the practical industry project at the end that rounds it off. To be presented with a product, a challenge or a scenario relating to a product and work as a team over a 6-week project is, I feel, a really beneficial thing to think about when displaying or promoting your value within an interview context. So the traditional answer to tell me about your learning experience in product management may be, I met some great people and I got 85% on my exam, which is good. But to say I met with X business as a part of a team, we were presented with this challenge, we came up with this innovative solution, and this is a potential impact, is a much more powerful demonstration of one's value to an organisation through that story that they portray in an interview. I think stories within interviews are much more memorable than than yes or no answer questions. I'll just double check. We've got a couple of minutes before we move into the Q&A, which we're looking forward to, and I can see some of the questions coming through already. We do have a number of career advances, James. How do you feel someone with a little more experience, say, can benefit, and how will the Career Accelerator assist them in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I think for advanced product managers, I think, or product managers who already have experience, there's a real opportunity to start thinking in terms of sort of guild quality and craft quality. You know, we tend to, you know, if you're like me, we sort of grasp towards being a product manager, but without a formal qualification, you can't sort of put your sign out on the door and say, you know, this is what I do, this is my guild, this is my community, this is my professional community. And it's difficult to answer that question, what is a product manager, and be a real leader in the field. You know, we talk about perhaps, you know, a product manager job, but if you're going to be a principal product manager or a senior product manager, you need to have more of a grasp of the shape of the overall, you know, professional skill set in order to lead a team of more junior managers. So yeah, it's really about confidence and being able to market and as well within an organisation have a stronger grasp of the strategic arguments for high quality product management when you are arguing for resource or a particular direction in product with senior managers. It'll give you that accreditation that's required, I think, that brings authority.
That's brilliant. And with industry's desire at the forefront with the academic underpinnings, it goes deeper, I feel, the content than most other programs that seem to focus a great deal, and somewhat rightly so, on the project management aspect of product management, which is important, and obviously we use agile methodologies and so forth. But when we got that feedback from industry, they need deeper into the product. Those themes that came through and resonate with those looking to not only change or certainly advance their careers came to the fore in that responsible product management, even the ethical side of it, the effective stakeholder management we've mentioned a few times, the different sectors and contexts of product management, that digital creativity and innovation. And lastly, that the academic underpinnings of being data-centric in product management is critical. The evolution of processes and the research skills required, I think, enable those career advances, as you said, to be more well-rounded, to take their career to the next level and possibly fill some gaps along the way that they haven't been formally taught within the industry contexts as well. We've touched on it briefly, and I've got a couple of minutes. Sorry if the chat wasn't enabled, it certainly is enabled now. But pivoting into, we know there is a great demand, but what do you see as the exciting opportunities for those looking to pivot either from an existing with exposure to product management within their current roles, or those that I mentioned previously that are making a complete pivot into the sector?
Yeah, I mean, it's future-proofing your career, isn't it? And we can talk about it from an instrumentalist perspective, but you know, I think this is an opportunity to really position yourself to be working in key positions within small, medium, large organisations over time. We also put an emphasis on not just commercial product management, but also product management for NGO and government. There are opportunities, you know, United Nations need product managers as well. They need digital tools. We need tools for COVID apps. There's an opportunity over the next 20 and 30 years to dip in and out of different sectors and absolutely offer business value, but potentially also offer social and cultural value. We talk about ethical design and responsible product management, and that's important within a business context. But it also opens up the whole world for you to take a gap year, and wouldn't it be great to be a product manager working in Fiji? I mean, the whole we get very focused on the nice opportunities, the great opportunities in the commercial world. But I think product management will provide people with the flexibility to have really, really exciting and quite varied long-term careers over the next, say, 15, 20 years.
I think there's amazing opportunities in both government and NGOs. I'm seeing it more and more. I'm seeing some wanting to transition from one sector to another to gain, as you said, that variety of exposure, which is exciting. Just before we get to and thank you, James, just before we get to the Q&A very, very shortly, I just wanted to touch on some of the overview of the program for those in attendance around the criteria, the application process, and the personal statement aspect of the application. If you haven't spoken to your enrolment advisor already, please reach out and book a time to do so. But the criteria, it is postgraduate, so there is a requirement of having either an undergraduate degree or demonstrable professional experience of more than 2 years, and we can assess that with you in a chat. It is a matter of uploading your documents into the portal, but I think the most important thing is your personal statement. We're seeking over and above your academic background, which is self-evident. We want to know your story in your one-page, 500-word personal statement, an open and genuine reflection of your commitment to succeed in the program, any barriers that you perceive you may experience, any achievements you're really, really proud of, how you'll fit it in with your life, and I'll touch on the hours commitment in a moment, because that does a number of things. It helps us ascertain your application, assess your application, sorry, as a whole, more so than just academically. But it also then provides your success manager and career coach additional information where they can, as James put it so brilliantly earlier, develop any empathy required to support you much more like a customer that you deserve to be than a student in this regard. It's a really, really important piece of the application puzzle. It is designed to fit in with full-time workers, and almost all students so far are working. And it is a blend of synchronous and asynchronous delivery. So one night per week, there'll be a facilitated academic session where all students will attend. They're always recorded. If it's your birthday, I don't think we should expect anyone to attend a lecture, James, but they're always recorded so you can digest them at a time that suits you, but always best to attend live. Then the additional 10 or so hours per week is up to you as to when and how you fit that in with your life. It seems to be quite convenient for most to think about that 1.5 to 2 hours per day, with additional 3 to 4 on the weekends, making sure that you've still got a life balance with family and things like that too, but then committing over a 6-month period to really have an impact within your careers. I'm going to move to the Q&A now. Just before I do, there is a upvote. There's a Q&A down the bottom, and if anyone hasn't put it in the poll as well, I'm not sure if that's still open, but the first question we have from the audience, let's get into them, James, and I might, if it's okay with your good self, assist with the first one. How does the career coaching offering work? A brilliant question, because it is a unique aspect of the Career Accelerator model and program. We have experienced and very, very passionate career coaches. They are looking to support people through a process of onboarding first, where there'll be a deep dive into a goal setting exercise, a rigorous goal setting exercise, and then obviously learn more about you as an individual in a one-on-one session, learning about your values and things like that, aligning then their coaching of you on monthly one-to-ones, ensuring, I guess, that you obtain the greatest return on your educational investment. And if that is to set you up to pivot into product management or accelerate your career within, they'll certainly guide you through that process, ensuring also, I think, skills obtained through the coaching process, enabling success in not only this or your next role, but you'll have learning outcomes from those coaching sessions that you'll take into any role that you have into the future, and possibly when coaching teams of your own as a product manager as well. Another question much appreciated here as well. Recruiters usually look for people with real-world product management experience. James, this is for you. I'm a career changer, so have very little product management experience. How practical is this program? We've touched on some of that, but is there anything you'd like to add?
I think this is going to be the key way for people in that situation to get into product management as a career because of the practical project at the end. So it'll be the capstone on your portfolio, really. And the other thing that it'll teach you how to do, there's a question about what topics are covered. We can get into that later, but it will allow you to define what product management is to recruiters. So you'll have an overview of the skills I think you've already probably got in your current job. I mean, a lot of us have these sort of the product management skill set, regardless of whether you've worked in an engineering or a design or a marketing environment. You will have a lot of the skill sets already that recruiters are looking for product managers. You just need to be able to sort of wrap it up in a professional, role-oriented way.
Completely agree. The coaching will certainly demonstrate the learning outcomes for benefit in the portfolio that you build throughout the 3 courses that I'll touch on in a moment. And as James again so eloquently put it, that capstone at the end is certainly an answer to that question. So what experience do you have? Well, you can say, actually, I have this experience, instead of saying you don't have any, which is most important as well. I think I'll touch on the course topics briefly if people would like, and thank you for that question. What sort of topics are covered in the course? There's 3 courses and 1 industry live industry facing project at the end. Each course runs for 6 weeks with a week's reflection in between. We have to commence with product management and strategy. We obviously then have product design and development and launching products to market, taking learners through that product life cycle, as well as then building that portfolio of evidence in the form of projects and presentations that, again, can be demonstrated to a prospective or potential employer much better than an exam result could ever be. So as I mentioned previously, the 6-week industry project that rounds it out enables you to apply the learning in a really, really practical sense as well. And I think that's something that not all programs offer, is that learning journey and then practical application of learning throughout the end. I hope that answers your question there, and I'm certainly going to be able to send an information kit to those that are attending as well. James, I'd love your thoughts on this one. What role have industry representatives played in creating the course content? Interested to hear more about how we've worked with them. Great question, and that's something that we can go over now, James.
Yeah, I was joking during the design process for this course that we're trying to produce unicorns, those people within an organisation that are impossible to find because of the range of skill sets that are needed. And yeah, so the industry reps have been crucial to this, and it is, there's a balance between industry and academic, but if the balance is going to fall anywhere, it's on industry expertise. We're lucky to have one person doing a doctorate actually in our department, who's also a senior product manager at a large entertainment company, an absolute guru. So between the King's side and my background, and the people that Fourth Rev have brought to the party, I've been really impressed. So Fourth Rev have I think you're sort of native thinkers when it comes to product management anyway, because you think about education in that way. But Fourth Rev have used their contacts within industry to bring in not just sort of core content and assurance that we're going to be delivering what industry and the learners need, but also critique and feedback and QA. So yeah, I'd say industry representatives have had a core role in this from day one of design right through curriculum development, writing, and delivery.
I could probably dive a bit deeper into that if we had the time. I think that's a really important point to make. That not bridging the gap, it's that intersection, isn't it? More so that collaboration of industry and academia, and I guess having your valuable input into the process is just as valuable. But in that Q&A process, where there's some interesting back and forths around finding the balance of practical and academic.
Yeah, and we've got some golden threads that we've used for the curriculum that have helped bridge that gap between academia and industry. I've been really impressed and relieved actually by how well reflected they are in the finished curriculum. They've provided ensured that there's that level of academic rigor there, while still putting the focus on industry requirements and industry input. Brilliant,
thank you. Another question from the audience: do we have any statistics on how many graduates have found a PM job? Thank you for the question. It's an excellent question. Unfortunately, we don't as yet, as this is the very first presentation of the program. We do know the type of or the demographics of many of the applicants and learners that have enrolled thus far. And as I said earlier, it's an amazing and inspiring cross-section of mainly career changes and career advances, with a common theme, I guess, of questioning the value of education in many ways. I find that is more and more a common theme of everyone diving deep into what's my ROI, what am I going to not only learn, but how is that going to align with what employers want? So thank you for the question. But this is the first iteration of it. Fourth Rev do run the Career Accelerator model and have seen amazing success elsewhere, but this is a brand new program which we're very, very excited about. On the program, another question from the audience. On the program, how often could I meet with yourself, James, I guess they're asking, or industry experts to ask questions? Are there set classes, or is it in emails and other formats? I'll let you explain your contribution, involvement and ongoing contact with masterclasses and so forth, and I'll explain the weekly academic overview sessions as well.
Yeah, so the course includes some canned vignettes, we call them, that I provide and another colleague provides, and I provide a sort of canned video intro to the different course modules, and in there in the background as the academic course convener, keeping an eye on things, and I'm always open to meet with students, talk to students, and offer master classes where relevant.
That's brilliant. We're so excited about that and have a host of exciting things lined up for learners, in addition to that one night per week from 7 p.m. UK time. I must have, if I didn't say it earlier, those facilitated academic support sessions and lectures, so to speak. In addition, there's a host of masterclasses, often in a similar vein to the previous two webinars that we've hosted in this series, where we featured not only industry experts, and now yourself, obviously faculty, we had recruiters, executive recruiters, we had career coaches to give prospective learners an understanding of the type of value that those masterclasses can host. We'll also have recruitment agencies knocking down our door, I'm sure, and looking to add value in the way that they can by providing overviews on opportunities and expectations when being interviewed and the things that they go through, which has worked really, really well. I did have a chat with a recruiter the other day, and it's every time I log on to their website, James, I see more vacancies for PM, so there is huge demand. Looking at the time, we've got 5 minutes or so. So another question here, does the course focus only on software product development or also hardware and more basic product development? Would you like that one, or do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. digital product development, I would say, is the focus, but the skill set is such that, I mean, the specific topics that are taught, concept ideation, design thinking, UI, UX, market segmentation, it's at a level where I wouldn't pitch it as a software engineering course, that's for sure. It's definitely product management with an orientation towards digital product, because there needs to be a focus, and that's where the demand is. And it does have obviously there's a particular skill set there that's needed. But I actually think it would, the skills that are learned in this course are definitely relevant to hardware and more generic product development as well. But to be clear, yeah, it's digital product development.
Excellent question. I've got a question on the fees. So for those of you that aren't aware, the fees are £6,000 with nothing more to purchase, and there are two ways in which we can support the fees. There is a 10% reduction in fees for those that do elect to pay up front, although the question we have is, are you required to pay up front? And that's a no. We do offer payment plans with no fees and no interest as well, over 6, 9, or on some circumstances longer. But talk to your enrolment advisor. We'd love to assist in whatever way you need assistance regarding the fee. So £6,000, 10% discount if you do elect to pay up front, or no interest and no fee payment plan over a number of months. If anyone does choose a longer payment plan, I must stipulate, actually talk to your enrolment advisor, because the payments will go longer than the program, but we can help you with that. Any last questions from the audience? Let me just have a look here. I don't think there are. No, we've done those questions. I'll just double check if there's any others. I think we'll get to the poll, poll results. So is that closed? I think now the poll, and we'll have a look at the poll results. Is that showing up for everyone as it is for me, I hope? So we did, James, have to get an in-demand job on 31%. Sorry, down the bottom is leading to determine if PM is the right move. Is there interest in considering studying? That's brilliant, actually, because that's very clever. That's people looking to invest in themselves and arrive at a life decision based on then some form of experience potentially, rather than make the leap and then think, oh, that's not for me. I think that's admirable that in a life decision, you're giving yourself every opportunity to understand and experience what it is prior to making that decision. To cement my skills and advance my career, equal with to start a career in a high growth opportunity, is brilliant feedback. And thank you everyone that contributed your answers to the poll. I think it's probably landed about where I expected. And to wrap up another couple of things, we're going to have a top tip first from your good self, James, about a closing top tip for everyone to take away. And I think what you said earlier regarding the skill sets, that diplomacy, I'm certainly going to take that away. But is there anything else you'd like to add for the audience as a closing top tip?
I think flexibility of mind is needed. I mean, my career has gone inside, through commercial, government, academic, and at that convergent point between technology, intellectual thought, and product, and flexibility of mind is always held me in good stead, because the world's fast changing place, isn't it? And flexibility of mind future-proofs you better than any hard practical skills in many ways.
That's a great top tip, and I think you touched on something really, really interesting: the pace of change, and again, that collaboration between yourselves, Fourth Rev, and industry enables that to be, and the content to keep up with the pace of change as well. That's something that I don't often think of, is the relevance. I mean, one of the goals that we have for learners is to, when entering industry or applying the learning in their workplaces is for employers to say, wow, they taught you that at university. It's current, it's up to date, and will always be. Any last, I guess we've got a couple of moments if there are any last questions from the audience. If not, I'll wrap it up and let everyone know just the application deadlines and so forth. I'll just double check if we do have any last questions. No, it doesn't seem as though we do. There'll be some additional content shared in the next couple of days for those that attended, along with a recording of the session. I implore you from here, actually, I'm not sure if there is a meeting link that we can post, to book a time with your enrolment advisor, who is not there to sell you the course. They're there to listen to your circumstances first and foremost, to understand if this is going to be of value, and if so, how we can align the value with your intended outcomes through the content that we've spoken about tonight. So we'll certainly send around a link. There are only 40 placements available for the first presentation, and we're well over 50% subscribed already. Applications are closing soon, but there's certainly more than enough time to speak with your enrolment advisor if you haven't, and submit your application if you'd like to as well. We turn them around rather promptly after review. But the most important thing is, if you feel that this is a career for yourself or looking to advance your career, hopefully after tonight and others and the other sessions that we've had, we've armed you with enough information for you to arrive at what is an important life decision and investment. It's an investment of money and time, and we certainly have built this with a mind that you get rapid return on your investment through the advancement of your career. There will be a post webinar survey. We'd love to know your thoughts on not only the content, and I'm sure James gets a 10 out of 10, and maybe Daniel could polish a few things. We'll see what the audience says, but we do ask for your feedback and really value your feedback, as we do in a learning experience way. Once you become a valued learner as well, we're always seeking to continuously improve. So if there is anything that you'd like to hear about, if there's anything you feel we could do differently, please don't hesitate to, or if you think we did it really well, hopefully, please take a moment to give us your feedback. Other than that, James, anything else from your good self, or what are you looking forward to, I guess, in the learners and the course starting for the first time? What are you looking forward to the most?
I think the cohort is going to be really interesting. I can't wait to see the discussions and sharing of knowledge across the different learners who turn up in the course, because we'll have people working in different industries with different understanding of what product management is, different journeys, career journeys. And I think the knowledge sharing and discussion could be fascinating and really motivational as well.
I completely agree. Wonderful. I have the benefit of looking at the cohort from that helicopter view now, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be exactly as you said. It's inspiring to see so many people from so many different backgrounds, some different locations, towards a learner and a sense of community, I think, that will certainly permeate throughout the program. That's it from James and myself. We would like to thank you first and foremost for your attendance, your input, and those brilliant questions we had during the Q&A. They were fantastic. Bye for now. Don't forget to book a time or apply. The links will be shared, and we value your feedback. Have a wonderful day.